streak or the push that they were giving him. It wasn't like he didn't really build the title up. And I mean, that's the reason I don't think Doug deserves to be on the list. And I think Goldberg had a great run with the U.S. title, but it wasn't something where, okay, he's one of the greatest U.S. champions of all time.
I would agree with that. I just was throwing it out there because nobody else mentioned him. You know, another guy nobody mentioned was DDP, which I think deserves an honorable mention.
I almost had DDP on my list. He was number 6.
Same with me. He kind of was like the honorable mention one for me. So,
I'll be honest. I think I have Magnum TA as my honorable mention. I think he deserves to go on the list if you look at just the body of work he had with Nikita Koloff and, you know, Tully Blanchard. And, you know, there was a time there where when the U.S. title meant you were kind of the next guy in line, Magnum looked like the guy that people thought, wow, he's going to really go off after this. That when he's going to be the guy that takes the belt from Flair.
So right now I think I got 3 guys that we can all agree on deserves to be on the list, and let's see if we all agree. Magnum TA, Rick Rude, and Lex Luger deserve to be on the list. We'll discuss the order in a moment. But would you guys all agree with that?
Right. I would. I think Patrick and I both had Steamboat and Flair on our list.
Yeah, we're gonna have. That's going to be a tough one because in order to fit. Well, hold on. We got 3, so that'll be 4, 5. So there you go. You want to do that? Steamboat and Flair? Still out the top 5 there? And then we.
Now, what about Valentine? Like, nobody wants to make an argument for Greg?
Well, you're the guy that had him on your list. You got to make the argument, man.
I've already said it. He was one of the longest reigning champions, and he did great work with that belt and was one of the defining holders of that title, had great feuds with Piper, had great feud with Flair, and I just think he deserves to be on the list. Yeah, like I said, he was my number 1.
Yeah, I think if we're basing it off of what they
I also believe, I could be wrong, I'm not sure, he might be the longest reigning U.S. champion.
Yeah.
It's either him or Rude.
If we're basing it off of what they did as the U.S. champion, I do think Valentine would go ahead of Flair.
Really? So that's interesting.
Well, like you said, we're basing this mainly off of who the U.S. champion is. If we're asking who went on to have the grander career after the U.S. title or based on their whole career, I would pick Flair. But if we're just talking about the United States Championship, then I think just scoring on that is Flair.
Okay. Currently, I've got 6 people. One's got to go.
I would drop Magnum TA from that list. I know I was the one that introduced him, but I think based on the fact of who had, between the 3 of us, who had who on what list, I think Magnum TA gets dropped, and then we have Rude, Luger, Flair, Steamboat, and Valentine.
We have Magnum, Luger, Rude, Valentine, Steamboat, and Flair. Currently, we want to drop TA?
Yeah.
We're going to drop TA, okay.
We're going to drop Magnum TA like so much Porsche on my post. Oh, God.
What was that? I don't even know what he said, but it's funny. What the hell is Nick? You all right?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon's on the show with us, laughing at his own joke. No, I'm serious. What happened?
I'm laughing at my own stupid joke.
It really is Jimmy Fallon.
Okay.
I can't stand it. I have to say it. I agree with Family Guy entirely, and I thought it before Family Guy said it, but Jesus Christ, Jimmy Fallon is the only one who laughs at his own jokes. Well, only one who laughs at his
And that's like the worst thing a comedian can do.
I mean, even the cowbell segment, he barely got through it.
Well, to be fair, none of them got through it, but
that was hysterical shit. But yeah. All right. So here's what
Christopher Walken got through it. Okay.
Here's what we got. We got Lex Luger. We got Rick Rude. We got Greg Valentine. We got Ricky Steamboat. We got Ric Flair. Who deserves to be number 1?
Boy, that's tough because in a lot of ways I would say that Rude is the number one heel to ever hold the belt, but I can make an argument that Luger is the number one face to ever hold the belt.
Well, we could say this, since Rude was the only one on all three of our lists, is that correct?
That is correct.
So he should be number one.
Yeah. Wait.
I think Rick Rude should be number one, actually. I'll second that. Now, Curt Hennig did also hold the U.S. title, but I think Curt Hennig's lineage is going to be held in the Intercontinental Championship.
Well, God bless Curt Hennig, but I think when he won the U.S. title, I think a lot of his best work was behind him.
See, I don't think, not age-wise.
He was still good.
I don't think he was over the hill. I just don't think that he was giving the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Opportunity,
perhaps? An opportunity to really still do it. I mean, he still was Curt Hennig. He still worked like Curt Hennig. I mean, the matches he had with Flair at Halloween Havoc and World War III were great, and his stuff with DDP was very underrated, too.
Yeah.
by the way, we want to bring up a series of U.S. title matches that I really enjoyed, Bret Hart and DDP.
Those are really good. I mean, Bret Hart went ape shit and was beating shit out of people with chairs. And coolest thing I ever saw Bret do, and I know that I've seen that many people do it since, is Bret Hart performed a diamond cutter while holding a steel chair on Dean Malenko.
Well, probably, James, they don't do that because it's so goddamn dangerous.
Bret made it look okay.
Well, see, Bret could do that. I don't know if I would trust guys like Mason Ryan as being able to pull a move like that off.
Well, maybe Alicia Fox would trust Karma to do it.
You know what I think actually hurt that dumb bitch? It was that botch-filled match he had with fucking Layla. I mean, watching that match was like, I think they set some record for the shortest match with the most amount of blown moves. Wait, seriously, there's like a net breaker in there where they somehow wound up making it a spine breaker.
It's true. That's true. All right. Somebody
said
earlier on that Greg Valentine deserves to be above Ric Flair on the list. Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
Nick,
okay.
Patrick, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so let's put Greg Valentine as number 2 then. Now, Flair or Steamboat or Luger as number 3.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with this. I think Luger should be number 2. I think Steamboat. I think Valentine is kind of a 4. I would put him at 4, and then I think Steamboat and Luger are the guys that battle out for 2 and 3.
What do you think?
I would actually. That sounds good to me.
All right, Luger 2 or Steamboat 2?
I think once again, if we're talking about just the United States Championship and what they did with the U.S. title, I think you got to go with Lex Luger. I mean, we talk about it how where the U.S. title became kind of the identifying thing with Rude. In a way, it was kind of the same with Luger. I mean, there was a period there where it seemed like for 5 years at one point, every U.S. title match basically involved Lex Luger as either the champion or the challenger. From the stuff he had, I mean, basically starting with '86 when he won the belt in the tournament, or he won the belt and then they had Dusty, and then him and Barry Windham a little bit, and but I think often forgotten matches with Stan Hansen, and even like
Stan Hansen matches were really good. Those were some stiff matches.
Even he even had a pretty good match with this big generic monster that was managed by Paul Heyman named Mean Mark, guy that was clearly green as a gourd, could barely do anything. They actually managed to make that big son of a bitch look pretty good.
Yeah. It's a shame they couldn't. Nobody else could make that guy work. So Luger really did something there. I mean, if you could take that lump of clay and do something with it instead of doing what everybody else would do with it, then that's pretty impressive.
Well, at the time, though, to be fair, that Mean Mark had all the potential, but he was yet to put it all together. I think Luger was just smart enough to. I think Luger actually got something pretty good out of him because of he thought, okay, this guy's got potential. I know how to get this out of him, and I'll know how to still have it be my match.
There you go. And you know what? And for those who don't know, Mean Mark was the Undertaker, the guy who went on to become the Undertaker. So there you go.
Well, let's talk about this. The reason he got the Undertaker gimmick, and this was based on your Gary Michael Capetta interview, I recall. Taker got that gimmick because they wanted to give him a gimmick where he wouldn't have to sell because he was awful at selling.
Well, of course he's awful. He's a nepotistic little man. In his own mind, he's a little man, and he doesn't want to make anybody else look good. So if he learned how to sell, he would have to make other people look good.
Huh. All right, guys. Well, here we go. Here's our top 5 list. See if we all agree with it. Number 5, Nature Boy Ric Flair. Number 4, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Number 3, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Number 2, the Total Package, Lex Luger. And number 1, Simply Ravishing Rick Rude. Do we agree with that list?
Sounds good to me.
4 of my 5 guys made it.
All right. I only got 2. Damn it. I can't get hacks on any of these lists.
That is no fun.
Should we keep, like, statistics like they do on like, Fox NFL when they do the weekly predictions and they keep scores for all the guys on the panel? Should we, like, keep doing that? Like, how many of our guys?
Yeah, I'd be at 4 total, and Patrick would be at 6, I think, or 7.
8.
8? And Nick would be at 7, I think. So I'm like way down. I'm less than half. Where'd you guys go?
Well, I'll tell you what. Some week we'll do a list of the top 5 best American loving 2x4 carrying ho yelling wrestlers, and you'll definitely get someone on that list.
But I think he could get over. I think he can get on the list as the best. I don't want to say comedy gimmick, but the best. I mean, the most over characters. Certainly, you can argue him on the list. I mean, was there ever anybody more over than Duggan? I mean, still to this day, he goes out there and says "ho," and you got 95% of the crowd cheering with him.
Yes, but to be perfectly fair, James, you have 95% of those people chanting Cobra.
Well, if they're still chanting Cobra in 25 years, then we'll put Santino on that list too.
Oh God. That's the worst thing ever. Which I guess that's going to transition into our, current events discussion, which is going to be weird because it's been kind of a weird couple of weeks.
Yeah. The only people that have had a stranger week is Al Qaeda.
What do we do?
You know why they put weights on Osama's feet and arms, right? Because turds float.
Yeah.